Well, hello there. Looks like we're live. I always have to go back and forth between two different screens just to make sure that everything's on and running smoothly. Hope everybody can see me, and thank you for everybody who waited a few minutes for us to pop on. Let me do this. I'm going to turn on a little extra light for you. Boom. So today we have an extra special guest. And I know I say that about a lot of people, but whenever Nicole Michelle comes by, it's always an occasion. Because if you read the description, I always say she brings that touch of femininity to my otherwise testosterone-fueled, curmudgeonly, savage proceedings that I have here on the channel. Say hello, Nicole.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats. How are you doing today?
Well, for anybody who doesn't know, I want you to do something. And because this is YouTube and there's room for everybody, before we even get started, I hope everybody watching takes a second, goes over to her channel and checks out the Inner Beauty TV, because she's talking to people in a way that I don't think people, particularly women, get spoken to. She's out there bringing gospel, and she brings a very different, and I don't mean gospel in a God sense. I just always say that because when she gives people this information that they need about relationships or men and women, particularly and I always complain about the same thing, she's out there telling secrets about men that we genuinely don't want people to know, particularly women. The good news is most of y'all don't listen to her, so hey, it's not that dangerous.
You're so funny.
But here's the thing. What I wanted to get into is some of the things that you talked about parlay into a phrase that I put together based on the way I was taught as a young man. And the phrase I was taught as a very, very young man was that women would rather have part of an amazing man than all of an average one. I'll say it again for the people in the back. People would rather have women in particular, would rather have part of an amazing man than all of an average one. And I'm always asked by other men, in particular as I reached that stage in my life where I'm kind of the curmudgeonly uncle. And they ask me how I accomplish certain things. The reason they ask me this is because people don't know my family name. I come from a family that strikes fear in the hearts of men. I'm not 6 feet tall. I'm not necessarily the most pleasant of men. Why do I accomplish things I accomplish, particularly with women? And I say, I just strive to be awesome. And I tell them, if you want extras out of a relationship with a woman, extras like, hey, can you bring me a sandwich? Extras like, hey, this is what I want to do, and you're going to have to trust me. Extras like, I might want an extra girlfriend. Be an amazing man. But they always argue about it. And I look at it, I don't necessarily know how this dovetails into teaching women what to look for from an amazing man. But how do you teach the women that listen to you how to find an amazing man, or what to look for? Like, what makes the guy worth breaking the rules for? Because some men understand that women make rules for the men that they find the least attractive. But when you are attractive, I don't mean physically or, you're a pretty boy, or even rich. But when you're one of those men, they break the rules for you. For the guys that are listening, and for the women too, how do you identify those men? Like, how do you tell them this is what they're looking for, or what you should be looking for to get one of those amazing guys?
Well, what I do is I let women know that they have a goal, and they should always have a goal. You shouldn't be out here willy-nilly, because that's typically when you get drugged through the mud. You have to have a goal in mind. So when you have a goal in mind, you're not going to deviate away from that goal just because he has swag and because he's smiling in your face. You're going to hold his feet to the fire because you have a goal, right?
What's the goal?
Well, it depends on the woman. Some women want to be married. Some women just want to, domestic partnership. It depends on the woman, pretty much. But typically the women in my movement, they gravitate towards me because they do want to secure the bag, which is legally marry. And so women, right.
Are you saying that women should be out to secure the bag by getting married? That's a way to secure their future? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Don't you know you should be out here spreading the goodness for nothing, for free?
Right. It's enough of them doing that. That's the problem. So that's what my movement is all about, is helping women navigate the dating waters and maneuver and to get into situations where they are provided and protected for. And that's preferably marriage.
That's reasonable. Actually, what you said kind of dovetails. I did a post called "How to Pay for Sex," which got a lot of attention. But the interesting part is, I always tell men, you're all going to pay for sex, particularly if it's with a young, attractive woman. But there are 4 ways to pay for it, and the easy one is always going to be money. Sure, anyone can give up money, but do you have wisdom to share with her? Does she look at you as a mind that she can come to with a problem that she has? She's saying, I'm giving you, as you always point out, her youth and beauty. What are you giving me? Are you making my life easier? Are you making my life something that I'm navigating easier just by definition because I'm with you? And that's, that's something that I don't think gets pounded in the head, or the technical knowledge. Can you do something for me that I can't do for myself? Do you have a reputation? Are you one of those men whose name reverberates and is respected by men who are respected, that makes you an above average, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, that make you an above average man. As a matter of fact, anybody watching, if you want to check this one out, we had a very good discussion on that one with a few of my other friends. You said a few things in your chat today, and I hope everybody gets to go back and look at the chat she posted today. I believe it was sexual market value.
Yes, sexual market value, yes.
Can you explain that term to people before we even get down into it?
Well, it's really just a blanket term to meeting dating market value. The red pill men have put their own spin on it, but it's just basically quantifying your desirability in the dating market. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
And so when we quantify our value, one of the things I tell guys is there's a lot of ways to do it, because we know what we're looking for in women. But I always try and explain to them, if you want to be one of those guys who gets it all, the man that other people get resentful of, because you mentioned something about when an older man is walking with a younger woman on his arm, how people can act kind of weird about it. And what you find is those are usually the men who can't accomplish it. The ones who look at him and say, well, wait a minute, he's 40, I'm 25. How come he has this 25-year-old woman? Not realizing that the 40 part is the important. The part that I've lived enough of life to be able to predict problems before they ever get to our front doorstep and show her and I say all the time, I'm not smarter, I'm just more life experienced. You said a few things that I wanted to expand on. And one of them is I want to talk about the danger that us older men pose, particularly younger men, because in 2020, we're about 2020 now. I don't know how much the women in your group talk about this, and you can tell me if you've ever heard of this, because this is something that's rampant that we talk about in the communities of men that I run in, from men that are athletes to just men who live that life of traveling the world and doing different things. Do you know what TRT is?
I do not.
It's interesting because whereas in all the men's news, we talk about it every day, I realize it's not something that I necessarily believe women would probably care about. It's testosterone replacement therapy that a lot of guys get on. And when you're in your 40s and it drops, that's nature's balancing out your wisdom by taking away from you physically. But when you go to the doctor and just get an injection, it bounces it back up again, and it gives older men a ruthlessly unfair advantage. And we see that in the way that younger women treat us when they say, wait a minute, you're 40. Not only are you wise, but you're still physically competent. Now, I'm not talking about bodybuilders and things like that, which if that's what people want to do, but it's something that I don't necessarily know that women are even aware of or even care about. And I just wondered, had that popped into your community?
No, and I would love to do some research on that, because that's interesting, especially strengthening my argument for younger women and older men. And I don't do that to disadvantage my more mature sisters. I do that because I'm trying to, I'm trying to contribute to the rebuilding of our community. And so we have to go with strategies that work. And I believe that the strategy that is going to help us mate with people that are on the same maturity level is older men and younger women. Because if he has the temperament and the patience and the resources and things like that, he has experiences and the maturity to handle a younger woman, and she is already biologically more mature than the men in her same age bracket. And we're talking about women in the prime, by the way. It's easier for her to go ahead and mate with an older man. And it's not really sexual focused. It's more about rebuilding the family and being on the same wavelength. And yes, there will be couples that are around the same age and they're typically older. But when we're talking about starting a family, that matchup actually works. It is a formula that works and has worked for centuries. We've just gotten away from it because we're in the hookup culture. But that term that you're talking about is very interesting. I'd love to do some research about that. And the scary thing, and I want to add this and I'll let you get back to you. The scary thing is when I talk about older men to these younger guys, I tell women, stay away from men under 35. You can still have fun with them and go chill with them. But as far as long term, that's not the move. The move is older men over 35. And so when I did the thumbnail for that original show, Hypergamy, dating older men, why dating older men is better or something like that. I chose very good looking older men because the fact of the matter is these younger guys that's living off swag and your mouthpiece, you come across a brother that's smart and mature and has world knowledge and experience and has a whole bunch of W's in his column, and he's good looking, and he can provide and protect. There's no competition.
Is that the one you're talking about, that top picture?
No, it's probably below that. It's going to be a couple of older guys. There you go. Hypergamy. Okay. Benefits of dating an older guy. Yep. Right there.
Yeah, y'all need to come take that medicine because she's telling you the truth. She's telling you the pure truth. But what's awkward is that I remember being 25 and 30 and not really being able to comprehend why is this older guy who is not necessarily more handsome than I am, why is it that women are walking past me for him? When I'm in my 20s, I'm out there, raw, and it was just like, okay, well, I'm going to go talk to that guy. At the time, I don't see it. That guy staying next to the Cadillac with the smile on his face that can say, hey, what's going on in your life right now? And he has enough life experience to hear it and understand exactly what's going on. Because at 25, what do I know? But you're 25. As a man, I always think that the cutoff for men making mature decisions, you're harsh. You said 35. I'm thinking 30. But 35.
That's because between 30 to 35 for men is hit or miss. And the reason why Generation X, I would have been correct in saying around 33, but the millennials, they're getting it's hit or miss in terms of traditional values, in terms of maturity level. And this is why I push women to get those Generation Xers. You're going to see a whole lot of Generation X men walking around with younger women. And the reason why is because they are the last of the Mohicans in terms of traditional values. They actually saw live couples married other than TV. Millennials didn't. Most of them were raised by single mothers. And this is not a diss, these are facts. So when women go talking about we don't want 50-50, we want to be stay-at-home wives and things like that, that resonates with a lot of Generation X men. And this is partly why they are still single, because Generation X women are on that feminist kick, or at least the ideology anyway. So they are kind of mismatched. But if I manage to get my hands around these young women and they start matching up with these older Generation Xers, we can start building some families, because a lot of Generation X men are still single. They've been holding out. Early 40s. Statistics show, I'm glad you bring that up. Statistics show that if you go to blackdemographics.com, statistics show that more men in their 40s and 50s are single, and particularly Black men are single. So with that being said, you're going to see if Generation X women, it's pretty much over for them. I hate to say that, but if they keep fighting femininity, they're finished, because these younger women are going to look at us and go, I ain't trying to be like that. I want to be a stay-at-home wife. I want to be feminine, and I want to acquiesce to his masculinity. They are going to learn from our mistakes, and it's going to hurt Generation X women, but it's going to help Generation X men if they want to get married. Now, if they just want to lay up, I'm teaching women, that's not the move. But in terms of maturity and match and compatibility, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that website. You just gave me a gem to go back and check out.
Oh, yes. My go-to, that and the CDC.
Was that a slide joke? Are you trying
What?
to the CDC Center for Disease Control?
No, no. No, it's a lot of hidden gems in there. The CDC, yeah. And also the census will be next year, so it'll be interesting to see what it unfolds. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Hey Topaz, hi Naima. I appreciate you two showing up and saying hello. When you talk about those differences in age gaps and what men different ages have to offer, you said something, because I run across, in every country I've been to, I've run across something. I don't know if it's getting bigger or smaller or staying the same. It's just not my bag. The sugar baby thing. And for people who don't know, sugar baby, they're young women, generally what, under 20, 25, who are essentially giving companionship for money. And I want to be clear, I have no problem with women who are not being pimped having sex for money. But is that what being a sugar baby is?
More or less.
Okay.
Or less, yeah.
Because you said something about the sugar baby thing getting tiresome to men. And at my age, I'm 42, I'll be 43 next July. I see guys going through that who, when they, my friends and I, we got out of college and really started making our way in the world and started to really define ourselves financially and with some success in life. You can do anything you want. I always say, if you want a real honest barometer of what men want, find a guy who's financially stable and 35. Whatever he's doing is probably what most guys wish they could be doing. For me, it's lifting weights, traveling, and wearing comic book t-shirts. I get to do that all day because I put in the hard work young. But here's the thing. A lot of my buddies who went down the sugar baby route are at that point where they're like, I'd like to have a woman I can go to sleep next to and know that my watch won't be gone in the morning. Or know that there's not a timestamp. Because don't get me wrong, sex with a cute young girl is awesome. But when you do get to that stage as a mature man, you're like, if I'm having sex with a woman or more than one, what else do they offer and how do I feel about it? And what I find, and this is where I get into arguments with my friends, they haven't developed the soft skills to talk to a woman who they're not giving money.
They have become transactional. And that they become mechanical. And this is why I tell women, look, I'm not an advocate for gold digging, but I'm going to take it a step further. I like that. I'm going to take it a step further than what other gold digging peddlers are telling you, that there's a shelf life for that. There's an end game and you need to know it. You can't be a sugar baby well into your 30s. It just does not work. It's not feasible. Men are not taking you seriously. You're just being a hoe. And the other people are not going to tell them that. They're just going to tell them, oh, you can go dig, get his money, secure that bag, girl. And that's all well and good. I'm not hating on that, but it comes from a deep-rooted sense of needing a father to fill a void. But enough about that. In terms of where men are doing it, they have become transactional in that they have turned off their emotions. When a man sees so much dysfunction, he becomes very desensitized and he becomes emotionally unavailable. So that's what has happened to a lot of maybe your friends. They are emotionally unavailable. I did a whole video about that, where men just kind of turn off, they kind of check out emotionally, and they're only present for a brief second with the woman in order to sexually connect with her. But in terms of real, true intimacy, they can't do it. They won't do it. And so that's really what's happening. And it comes from a fear of being taken advantage of. If they see women giving up their bodies for money, they have this deep fear or insecurity that, okay, if she becomes my woman, she's going to do the same thing to me. In other words, I can't control her sexuality. And that is a real, true fear that a lot of men have. So they check out emotionally and they go well into their 40s and 50s, really running away from true intimacy. And so that's pretty much what's going on with
when you say controlling a woman's sexuality, how are we looking at that? When you say they want to control her sexuality, can you, from a woman's enlightened perspective, open that up for me. When you say men want to control her sexuality, because I understand, as a man, to be clear, masculine men in particular, one of the things that our ego tells us to do and what allows for us to do if we've succeeded at a certain point, we do like controlling women. That's just something that men do. But when you specifically say controlling her sexuality, how do you mean that?
Um, you can't really control. Controlling a woman's sexuality is sort of like I can't lock her in a closet and make her only have sex with me. I can't make her only have eyes for me. I can't make her, only acquiesce to me. I can't control who she opens up her legs to. As much as I'd like to, there is a possibility my wife who stays at home can screw the gardener. My wife who goes to work can screw her boss. She goes to the grocery store and screws a guy in the parking lot. For a lot of men, they can't move past that.
But that's been true forever. I mean, women, and feel free to not comment, agree or disagree. Mm-hmm. Most men don't understand that, you know how we say not all men are violent, we put the not all men? Yeah, most men are inherently violent. We just subsume that to be part of society and to not hurt women we love. By definition, women are naturally deceptive. Some subsume that to be part of society and not hurt the men that they love. But a lot of guys don't really catch, I tell people all the time, something that men smarter than I have said. You learn a little bit when a girl comes to you and says she cheated on you. You learn a lot when you're the man she cheats with, and when you have that kind of a gritty education in women that I and a lot of my friends ended up having, you end up realizing I can't guarantee anything, but what I can do is I can paint the odds in my favor by looking at how these women talked about their husbands across different social strata, economic strata, racial strata, and saying, I don't want to exhibit that behavior. And I don't.
I feel like you froze up.
Oh, that's okay. We got a little bit of a lag. And what I don't want to do is advocate, that kind of degenerate behavior. But unfortunately, I'm realizing that it gives you an edge. John Nothing said the only control we as men have is to walk away with disinterested in going back. I disagree with that, John, respectfully. And the reason I'll say it is this. It's not like, okay, let's say I'll go through a season where I want to tighten my body fat up. I usually walk around as a weightlifter at 230. I can get down to 210. For me, I can simply walk away from the extra steak. I'll eat 2 steaks for dinner and 3 baked potatoes. Doesn't bother me. I can walk away from that extra steak and baked potatoes. I can walk away from the orange juice every day because it's loaded with sugar. If you're a heterosexual man, you can't just walk away from women. You're gonna come back. It's a locked up market. You're gonna have to come back. So how do we say, yeah, the only control men have is to walk away? Because that men going their own way, yeah, that's a great short-term solution until you realize you're still bad.
Well, honestly, I kind of agree with him. That's the only control anybody has. You can't control another human being. Everybody wants guarantees, and especially if you've been raised with a mother and you weren't raised in a home with a husband and a wife, and you saw the dynamic play out in a successful family life. You are enormously afraid of marriage, and I get it. So it's sort of like flying a jumbo jet. You don't know. You're going into an uncharted territory. You probably weren't raised around a lot of marriages, so it frightens you. And I get it. The point is, though, you got to move past that dysfunction and you got to try. It happens. I'm a divorcee, so I'm not going to pass judgment on people who don't get married. But at the same time, there is no safe. Nobody's safe from being cheated on. That's just what it is. The best you can do is get with somebody that has the least amount of dysfunction at this point. And I want to go back to a point that you were talking about. Women are naturally deceptive. Men say that, and I've had discussions with my man about this. It's because a lot of men haven't been exposed to femininity, because femininity to a lot of men comes across as cunning. It comes across as manipulative, strategic, and because they don't understand it. Because listen, if women, and really they don't understand femininity, they don't understand the dynamic.
Feminine behavior. I mean, just as men have an ability that I hope most women never realize for violence, if it really comes to it, and I hope they never see it as violence towards themselves as women, because women who have had men perpetrate violence on them break something inside they can never recover from. At the same time, most men don't really understand how a woman can say something that to a man is factually untrue, but that a woman can say it and pass lie detector test if it's something that she thinks should be true.
Okay, then that's just being a liar. Okay, that's
I agree.
not. Yeah, that's not. Every woman is not just out here just pathologically lying. That is a pathological. No, when I'm talking about naturally deceptive, they interpret femininity as natural deception because they don't understand it. If let's think about it like this: women have to be strategic with men because if we didn't, we never get married. We are civilized people, but if we didn't play little games with your heads to get y'all to fall in love with us, we would never keep an audience with you past sex because you'd be focused on our boobs. Then after that, our behinds, y'all would never marry us. You would never settle down with one of us. You would keep going and keep going and keep going until you just like, oh, okay, well, she's here. Let me marry. It would never happen until we put boundaries on it. So we have to be a little strategic with men. We have to give y'all rules. Otherwise, we would never form families. This is facts. Look at the hookup culture. That's prime example of men and women running amok. So if we were a little bit strategic, we would never be married. We would just be a whole bunch of animals running around humping each other and baby mamas and baby daddies. Oops, that's what we have now. Because women aren't strategic. They are manipulative, but they're not getting, they're not feminine and moving towards things that are productive. They're moving towards things that are unproductive.
What you just said, I don't know that anybody's ever said it that way, that if you didn't play games with our heads, we would never make a decision. We would just be, you know what?
Think about that. You have a beautiful woman in your face. What are you thinking about?
Yeah, not marriage.
Now, if she doesn't, and I hate to say play games, if she's not strategic.
No, you're right. We call it game as men.
Right. So if she's not strategic, guess what? What y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna hook up, and that's gonna be that. Y'all gonna play that out, however which way it goes, scenario it goes, but it's gonna fizzle out. It's gonna fade to black, right? A woman that wants marriage, she got to go at it a little bit different. Look, I have his audience with these breasts and this behind. Let me keep his audience so that he falls in love with me, so we can start a family. And so, to a lot of men, they can't control that because they think they're under duress. They don't understand, as a masculine man, you voluntarily acquiesce to her femininity and vice versa. It's a give and take, a push pull. It's a very polar relationship where everybody's playing out yin and yang. Okay. They don't understand. You're not, when she's trying to be married to you and trying to start a family with you. Yeah, there are dysfunctional people out there that are opportunists. But I'm talking about generally women who are really trying to be families. If we are not strategic in how we choose the men we are with and how we move and operate with them, we get done in just like he gets done in. Hence the hookup culture.
Well, let me do one. That was worth the price of admission right there. Well, first, let me say hi to Dane Christopher. This is Dane's first time with us, and let us know how you found out about us, Dane. I appreciate you stopping by. I'll tell you the same thing I'm going to tell everybody. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, but make sure you subscribe and share this somewhere. I tell people all the time, I have great conversations with great people. Share this on your Facebook or your Instagram or your Twitter. I tell people, share it on your Tinder profile. Say, hey, if we can't have a conversation as deep as this, we can't hook up. And yes, I'm serious. And DJ Nap was like, boo, I don't know why she was bored. You got the Duchess of Femininity. He said, do you know Blackest Night?
He was on the stream today supporting. He was around the lovely young ladies over there at the Inner Beauty TV.
And Rita bringing the gospel, especially nowadays, femininity is starting to be talked about more, and men aren't used to it. Because of that, they think it's fake and manipulative.
Absolutely. Great statement.
Yeah. I remember as a young man, I had an older man say to me, don't be like the dog who caught the truck. You instinctively want this woman to be loyal and obedient to you and be feminine to you. But most guys, when they catch it, okay, how do you treat that? How do you treat that when a woman is behaving that way to you? How do you treat her? How do you treat other men who look at you and hate in their hearts? How do you walk next to her? It's like, guys, I tell guys all the time, you want a beautiful woman. Do you know the responsibility of walking next to a woman with a big ass and big titties and everybody's looking at her, do you know how to walk down the street with her without getting provoked into some verbal conflict while still treating her with dignity and beauty? If you don't know, you better figure it out.
Right. They don't even know. And feminine women require 100%. He must pay the cost to be the boss. The more she inputs, the less femininity she's gonna have, and they don't accept that either. So with women, it's damned if we do, damned if we don't. So I go hard in the paint, and I double down on pay the cost to be the boss, and we will acquiesce to your masculinity.
Now, here's what I want the men listening to understand. When she says pay the cost, don't forget, you can do it just like an investment account. If you spend those young years getting educated, figuring out a trade, be it a financial business like I was in, I don't care if you're a garbage man or a plumber, lifting the weights to get your body used to being in physical condition, by the time you hit 30, you've got so much credit in the bank of society that it's just not even an issue for you to be around the women that you want. But most guys, they don't want to do that hard work. Now, is it harder to do the hard work? Whereas some of the men who ask me for advice, they come to me at 40. It is harder. It is easier when you're 19 and fresh out of high school to develop those good habits, but it's not impossible. The good news is, if you're a man, hard shit is going to be part of the norm if you want to be successful.
Well, the part of it is, in my observation, is a lot of men, because society has declined, it is what it is. A lot of men are just laying up with dysfunctional women who don't know anything about femininity, who've seen their moms sacrifice their bodies and sucky on the weekend to pay the light bill. They've seen that. That's what they know. And so all they know is my body is my currency. So they don't understand when I come talking to them about being a housewife and being feminine and getting a man to pay the cost to be the boss. That's new information to the fellas who've been laying up with these dysfunctional women who didn't know any better. They like, what? What do you mean change what I've been doing? I've been laying up with these dysfunctional women. What you mean? What you mean, Nicole? What you talking about? Secure the bag. You talking about gold digging. I got swag. Mm-hmm.
Read that. You just got, Nicole.
What'd you say?
Read the comment that I just put on the screen.
This troublemaker right here. You know what? Bring yourself up here right now. No, I'm just playing. We're always mailing.
So here's what we gonna do. You might wanna, let's see.
He always
power and strategy.
Power and strategy. Bring yourself up here. Max City in the building.
Max City is there too?
That's him. He's from Max City. Power. He's so silly. But that's what's happening. They've been laying up, like Power and Strategy, laying up with the flip-flops and the what he like, flip-flops and the bonnets and the stretch pants. What he like? Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Power and Strategy, when he blows the horn, check your email. The door is open. The kitchen is open.
I ain't scared of Tony Macy, yo. Bring it. No, I was kidding. Tony Maceo is low-key brilliant, y'all. So but he get down with the ratchets, huh?
That's the thing. That's why I get mad at Tony Maceo sometimes. He is so smart. Here's the thing, I'm telling y'all, don't let him trick you. He's smarter than he ever wants you to realize.
Yeah, he is. He is.
He will have you thinking he's a knucklehead and pull an end run on you because you want to believe that. You want to say, nah, he couldn't be that clever. I'm telling you.
If he bout that life, he'll pop up here. But anyway, so thank Black is not
golden. Now, here's one that a lot of men I've become feminine, that we might need to work on how we structure some sentences. A lot of men perhaps have become feminine because they have no masculine principles, because of the lack of masculinity in their lives due to mother's choices in men. That statement treads a very thin line, because at what point does a man become his own responsibility? Does he say, I am going to make the decision to fix what is broken in my life, put in the work to get the job done? to become the man that I want to be. I tell people all the time, YusefWateef is not the man he was born to be. He is the man he chose to become. I was the fat kid who got picked on and beat up for being a nerd who wet the bed. I decided. I got into high school, got into college. I said, I'm going to lift these heavy ass weights, go out there and just say ridiculous things to women until I get it right and figure out how to make this money being a nerd. And then it worked. But I had to make that decision. And I had a dad and a mom. But at a certain point, I had to decide what kind of man I wanted to be. And then I just said, I'm going to do this no matter what. I don't know how much we can continue as men to blame anyone else for anything else. That's not, you know what I mean?
Right. Men are our leaders. And so if they want feminine submission, you have to lead out, no excuses. And just like I fussed at the ladies today and trying to help them understand their sexual market value. And as they get older, I literally said, as you get older, the less men are going to let you off the hook with your behavior. So, men don't want to hear excuses about you didn't have your daddy and your mama was a hood rat. They don't want to hear that at 45. They want you to have your stuff together. And the same with the guys. We can't let you off the hook either, fellas. Okay. You didn't have your dad. You were born behind the 8-ball. Your mama was a hoe. Okay. So now what you going to do? What you going to do? Okay. Cause you're 35. What, are you just going to live in the gutter? Are you going to stay broken? Are you going to be broken? Are you going to create another baby mama like your mom? Like, I mean, that sounds harsh, but it has to be said just like that, because we have to get these men. We need these men in leadership positions in order for us to form families so that they can have the respect. Right now, they're asking for respect and they haven't done nothing. What you done? What? You're asking us for 50-50 and you want respect? Come on. We can't do that, players.
A lot of men disassociate the fact that it's not demeaning to say, I have to pay for the privileges that I have with women who are worth having. I get emails from women all the time who say things like, how do I get a man like you, blah, blah, blah. And I always tell them, listen, you need to start charging a premium for what you got between your legs and making it worth it. Don't be average. What can you do? Because once a man reaches a certain point of success in his life, sex with cute young girls is no longer something you can negotiate with. It's just not. What else can you do? Can you be the woman I wake up next to that I feel comfortable with sharing my success with? That's rare. I'll give you a strategy, since we're talking about strategies and tactics in the sexual dating market. And it is, unfortunately, I had to have a conversation with a young man about how his heart got broken, not because this woman was evil or mean, but because she couldn't support the things that he needed her support emotionally. And he married a stunningly beautiful woman. And I'm going to tell you something, and Nicole, I want your opinion on this one, but I was told never marry a woman who is arguably on a 10-point scale more beautiful than an 8. Because over that point, her life was easy for the first 30 years, and she may not have developed a second or third set of skills that make her a better wife than lover.
Yes, I agree to a extent. Shout out to Donovan Sharp, who coined the phrase 8s, 9s, and 10s belong to the game. And he said that in context of talking about men wanting 8s, 9s, and 10s, but not understanding the repercussions, not understanding what comes with that. The more beautiful a woman is, the more she costs. And the more drama that comes with it. And he was, in this particular live cast, he was explaining the drama that isn't discussed with the more beautiful women. And he was like, when it comes to picking a wife, you want to go average. That's why I say I'm a strong 4. I'm a good average chick, right? That can make you happy. But the 8s, 9s, and 10s, no diss to the extremely beautiful woman, but everybody wants a piece of the pie, a piece of beautiful people. Beautiful people, we want to see them on the screen. We want to see them on TV. We want to hang out with them. They just naturally draw people to them because they are easy on the eyes. That goes for men and women. When men say I'm easy on the eyes, so I get, sex easier. Women say they're easy on the eye, who are easy on the eyes, get money from men. Men acquiesce to whatever they want because they're
on the eyes. They don't have to think their way out of certain situations and develop certain, how would I put it, critical thinking skills. I'm not insulting beautiful women.
No.
I'm saying is that I don't think we're at that point in history where you can ride that into old age. Now, especially if you get a successful man, Like, look at the most successful men in the world and look at their wives. How many of their wives are these stunningly beautiful models that they have the access to? You know, when you look at The Rock's wife, is she a pretty woman? Absolutely. You know, when you look at Idris Elba's wife, is she a pretty woman? Absolutely. But they have women throwing vagina at him every day that are far more beautiful than her.
Right, because when you're looking for long term, you're going to look for more than just the superficial, and looks is superficial. But when we're in the hookup culture, everybody's quantifying each other on the desirability for sex, not long term. We're in the hookup culture. So this is why my hardest job is getting women to not choose men based on their swag and his looks.
But here's the thing about it. One of the things that I've learned as a man is just as much as there's a group of women who love quote unquote beautiful men, the interesting thing about being a man is that I've been found just as attractive because I'm not pretty. I've never been pretty. I just get in and get the job done, and I carry myself in a different way than a beautiful man would. But I've had women tell me they don't trust beautiful men. I'm not saying anything against my brothers that are out there just naturally handsome, but just like you have women that gravitate towards them, there are women who graduate towards me that say, I would never trust a handsome man.
Absolutely. I've talked about this. Men have, the more attractive a man is, the more larger his rotation is. And he can't tell me otherwise. Pretty boys, and I used to have an affinity for pretty boys. And my thing was brown skin with curly hair. That was my thing. I had to mature. Yeah, brown skin with curly hair. That was my thing. Think of Laz Alonso. That would have been my, oof, Lord have mercy. What are we talking about? I lost my train of thought.
Well, let me say hello to Princess. Hello, Princess, and thanks for dropping in, as well as Miss V. I appreciate you stopping by. Always leave things in the comments, things that you want to hear us expand on. I appreciate it. Nikay, Nikki, Nikwe, however you want. I'm just messing with your name on purpose. Hey, how are you? And she's got a fun channel that she's developing as well. I hope everybody's enjoying the conversation. One of the things I always tell people, make sure you click subscribe and share to get the good word out to other people. And maybe now maybe Nicole has her ears back on, so she stopped fantasizing about some dude with brown hair and curly eyes and whatever it was.
I literally did lose my track. Oh, yeah. Fine guys have you in rotation, and it's very competitive because guys who are 8s, 9s, and 10s are just like women with 8s, 9s, or 10s. They have a larger pool to choose from. They have more options. So I tell women, you can go for the guys. Y'all can fight over the 20% of 8s, 9s, and 10s are guys. But please understand, no matter hot or fine you think you are in his rotation. You are in his rotation, which is why he can be inconsistent with you, which is why he can lay up with you on the holidays and not call you for weeks at a time, because you are his rotation. The finer a man is, the more his rotation is. And a lot of women still ignore this. They still try to trap him with babies. They still try to play games with, and they still are single. This is October. They're going in November. They're going into the holiday season single because they look at they choose men like masculine men choose women based on looks. That's how we get an audience with a man, is by our looks, right? So
that's they are choosing. Black as night, they don't mind being in the rotation. And that takes us back to the title of the show. Women would much rather have part of an amazing man. Notice I said amazing, not handsome and beautiful. But one of the things you learn as a man is once you become accomplished and you can be an amazing man, one night with the amazing man is worth more than all week with the average guy. And that's why I tell guys, be amazing. You don't have to be handsome or rich or tall or have a six-pack to be amazing in life. Having any of those things would be an extra or nice if that's what you already have to build on, but it's women don't.
The problem I have with that statement is what's the definition of amazing here?
Okay, let's say amazing, and you can agree, disagree, or expand, or in the comments if anybody wants to agree, disagree, or expand. Amazing. A man who is first and foremost respected by other men who are respected. That cuts out all your low lives, the guys who do things that you can't talk about in public, the criminal degenerates who are only cool on the block and is contextual. These are men, I don't care if you're a farmer and a plumber or a financial professional like I was. These are men who can talk about what they do in the light of day. Men who are amazing. If you spend at least every other day in the gym, I don't care if it's weightlifting and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu like me, I don't care if it's yoga and calisthenics like some of my other friends do. If you do that and you are physically competent, you're an amazing man. If you do things like read one nonfiction book every month to expand your mind, I don't care what the subject is, but reading a book a month, this is a nonfiction book, makes you an amazing man because you're learning more, whereas most men stop at the end of their education, be it high school or college. What makes you an amazing man? Are you doing something with your hands? Maybe it's writing, maybe it's blacksmithing that I do, maybe it is crafting things literally or in the metaphysical, whatever you want to do, something that you can do with your two hands alone that shows the world. If it's just you in a dark room, you're so comfortable with yourself, you'll never have to cry out because you'll always be able to keep your own company. Let's go with just those 4 principles.
Okay, sounds like what I described as competent, a competent man. And the other caveat to what you said is emotionally healthy women, not dysfunctional women, because dysfunctional women choose men based on looks. And I know women don't want to hear that, but by definition, if she puts herself at a disadvantage, if she chooses a man who will not keep her advantage or keep her sustained, she puts herself at a disadvantage by being with him. She by default is dysfunctional, because feminine women are choosing men that are able to keep her in her femininity, which is at her best, her feminine advantage. So that statement that you said, the title of this show works for emotionally healthy women, which brings me to why most of these arguments on YouTube bother me, because they don't differentiate the type of women that they're talking about. They make these broad statements, black women this, black women that, instead of saying dysfunctional women. Okay, because dysfunctional women transcends all races. They say black women this, black women that. No, you need to say dysfunctional women choose men based on looks. They excuse competence and they choose swag. They need to say that because feminine women or emotionally healthy women are not out here, the square girls, let me put it like that, or not out here picking Pookie and Ray Ray. That's just not what we're doing. And the statistics show that.
That emotionally healthy part, that's, yeah. Because not all men are created equal and not all women are created equal. You have a situation where you're right. I see a lot of girls out here with guys who learn what I call, and this is something I had a friend kind of disagree with me on this phrasing, but I said, I was taught not to be like, let's say you're a special forces unit. You're going to go into the city, tear it to the ground, burn everything to pieces, and get out before sunrise. I was taught to be like the Roman army. I want to come in, stick a flag in your brain, be someone that you pay tax and tribute to and loyalty and respect over the long term. A lot of these guys that are taught basically smash and grab with relationship with women, they're taught how to, in the very short term, get sex with lots of women. But in the long term, how many of those women are going to be sticking around? How many women are actually saying, you know what, I want to be with you more than just tonight and tomorrow because you've demonstrated yourself to be a man that me and other women feel comfortable being around?
Okay, and that's the difference between you and the majority of people on Black YouTube. You're actually competent. You're actually built for the long term. You're a Ford truck. You're built to last. Most of these women, most of these guys, can I just be 100%? They don't have any resources. They don't have anything to offer these women besides eggplant. So they want to keep the conversation short term, with the long-term visibility, that to make it seem like they're talking about long-term, but they're really talking about short-term. How can we get these women to choose us to have sex with? And that's it. Because we don't have anything. But the conversation never talks about how do we get from the hookup culture to marriage so we can form families. It's always, why can't these women, these Black women, choose us to lay up with? That's really what they're talking about. And they're not talking about square chicks. They're talking about these hood chicks and these women who are dysfunctional. And I won't say all hood chicks are dysfunctional, but by definition, we're talking about dysfunctional women. Okay, they're not admitting that they are attracted to these dysfunctional women, and by default, if you are attracted to this, if you're trying to be in a relationship with a dysfunctional woman, by default, you are dysfunctional. And what type of men are attracted to dysfunctional women for long-term relationships or something like that? Those are men with no money. because at some point, a successful man, a man of affluence, an amazing man, to use your terminology, a competent man, at some point matures and says, you know what, this type of woman can't raise my family. So let me navigate over to a woman that's a little square, a little boring. She don't have all the bells and whistles, the weave all down her back, and all the makeup and all that. The makeup of a street woman, but she's actually a good girl that can raise my family. That I want my little girls to emulate. I want my sons to see as a quality woman. They mature to a point of that. And what we've seen in Black YouTube is a bunch of children sitting up here talking about how Black women are not screwing them. And they mad about that, because when you take them to task and go, okay, now what women are you talking about? It always devolves and goes off the tangent, because they don't want to admit that they're talking about hood chicks. They're talking about ghetto chicks. They're talking about ratchets and thoughts. They're not talking about square women who are in school or working a job and doing things. They don't want those women because they don't have the bells and whistles. They want the Fashion Nova weave down my back, fighting in the Asian nail salon. They want those women, and they're trying to have relationships with those women, and they're pissed off that those women don't want to have sex with them. How dare that woman not want to have sex with me? Who does she think she is? She a single mama. How dare she not want to give me some? Now, mind you, he doesn't want her for the long term. He's just mad that she's not giving it up to him. So this is what's going on in Black YouTube. It is children throwing a temper tantrum about what they're not getting short term. That's what
I keep hearing the phrase Black YouTube, and I always got to tell folks that I keep hearing Black YouTube. I don't necessarily think I'm part of Black YouTube, because the stuff you're talking about, I always get surprised hearing that. I have to look it up. And I'm like, oh yeah, there are people really saying this. Because surprise, people on my channel, I have people of all races and cultures that drop by to give information and wisdom. But it's like, you know, when you say Black YouTube, it's never happy when you start talking about Black YouTube.
Because our conversations never evolve and they never move past sex. And so this is why I distance myself, because there's no evolution, there's no growth. And it's just so stagnant, and there's just conversations and topics just go on a cycle. And a year from now, they'll still be talking about Pookie and Ray Ray and the educated lane. Nothing ever evolves. Nothing ever. There's no personal growth. And my movement is a movement. We move forward. So I need women to see that there are some competent men out there that are willing to step up and lead a family. And I can't have them exposed to a bunch of men who sit around arguing to Black women, calling them names, berating them about not being chosen to have sex with them short term. Okay, I can't afford to have, and this is why I only promote certain content creators in certain segments of YouTube. But if they go over there on their own, they're on that literally on their own. But I try to protect my audience, because a lot of them are coming from Facebook, and I try to protect them as much as possible, because they go to these areas and they get disillusioned and they get discouraged listening to men talk about a certain faction of women that they are trying to, either they are those women or they're trying to emotionally heal themselves so they are no longer those women. They're talking about those women that they're trying to get into bed for the short term. They're not trying to marry these women. They're not trying to, make a life with these women. They just want to be mad that she didn't pick me Friday night. Because
it feels like if you're beneath me, how dare you say no to me? That's what they essentially are trying to say.
Ratchet single mother, how dare you not get down here and give me some? That's what this is about.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even know how do I even.
What I will tell you, and I'm gonna say this on the air for any other Black content creator, my numbers shot up when I distanced myself from Black YouTube. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ooh. But look at that. Look at what Uncle Ladrunius said. He said, Yusef and Nicole represent the evolution of Black YouTube. I'm okay with that. Maybe
me too.
Maybe we are where things are going.
Which
That's
by definition, that's why you're competent, because you're moving forward. You're always bettering yourself. That's what makes you competent. And a woman who is truly feminine is going to navigate towards a competent man, not because of your looks, but because the W's in your column, but because of your lifestyle choices, because of how you move. I told women all the time, I love my man because when I talk to him, Yusef, I literally need a dictionary and a Google. That turns me on. Like, that he's able to just talk like that and do what he needs to do, and he's professional and he can get down and talk with the guys. I like that he can do that, and I think that that's very, very. Now if I wasn't feminine, I'd be like, that's boring, he lame, he think he all that, he should date a white girl. If I was in my femininity, I would not be attracted to his competence. But that's why I'm trying to get women to a point where you're going to stay single if you select men like men select women.
Read that compliment you just got.
Blackest Night. Oh, he's so sweet. I'll be very honest. Sister Nicole and the sisters in her movement restored my faith in Black women here in America. It's refreshing to join her discussions and be surrounded by feminist sisters. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you. That's my goal, is that men come over there and just be, overcome by the beautiful women. I don't know if you've seen my chat, but I don't have monkeys in my chat. Most of the women, I'm getting a reputation as having the channel with the beautiful women, and I'm glad, because femininity is beautiful. So,
what's the pearls? The words you're using. Oh, well, it's a vicious circle, and where you and I are trying to break out of it. And one of the things I always say to my friends who are in Black YouTube, the door is always open to you. The door is open in my place to anyone. I've been turned down by some people who really enjoy talking, and I said, hey, why don't you stop by? Because I have some talking points I'd love to discuss with you. And I get shot down hard. I get shot down.
Wow. Ooh. Some people you don't want in there on your channel because they're going to bring a negative energy. I'm just going to put it like that. Yeah. The people that you've had so far, Power and Strategy is good, and a couple of other people you've had are good energy. For the most part, I try to keep people on my channel that are going to work with the women, not attack them. Okay, I do the fussing. I'm mama. I do the fussing, not you. You don't come on my channel to fuss at my audience. That's my job, because you don't have the love, you don't have the diligence, you don't have the patience, and you haven't been praying for these women. I have. So they get upset when I don't let them run amok in my chat and run amok on my panel. No, you wouldn't want me doing that on your channel. You are not going to jump on these women. They are listening to me for a reason, and I'm not going to let you hurt them further. They need to see men over here supportive, who really believe in the movement and really believe. They may not be totally sold on the movement, but they see women trying. Let us try. You beat us up on social media day in and day out. Let us try. Let me try. Let me try. Let me fail before you say I'm fake or I'm a fraud or something like that. But don't come over here beating up on my women. That's how I look at it. So I've gotten a bad reputation as, Nicole blocks and things like that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Because I protect these women. They come to me for the 2 hours a day to listen to what I'm saying, and I'm not going to let you beat up on them. I'm their mama. I fuss. Okay.
I've seen you give the execution order when somebody is misbehaving in your chat. And you just call for the executioner.
Ban is for life. I don't, the little tab. I've been in that tab once. I do not unblock. If my mods block you, that's it. Naima's a mod, Neek is a mod. If they block you, you better be nice to my mods, because if they block you, you're done. You're finished. As C Boogie would say, you're finished. Because I don't have tolerance for that. They need to know that Nicole is going to go to the bat for them. I have blocked content creators. Very influential conflict for you. I don't care. You cannot disrespect these ladies. So that's, you have to let your audience know, Yusef, that this is your domain, and your rules are your rules, and your channel is not a democracy. The government has to be fair. You don't.
I'm going to steal that. You know what? I know you told me earlier that you have a lot of things that you have to take care of, and I just want to tell you I appreciate and respect the time you've given us. The door is always open for you. What are the parting shots you want to give the team?
Well, I just want to say for the ladies listening to Yusef, his titles are funny, but he's really just a very nice gentleman. I've never had a bad encounter with Yusef, and his content is great. He's growing, he's up and coming, and I like to support men who are talking about something. And I want to prove to the ladies, these are the type of men we need to support, not the men bashing us and calling us names. We need to support men who are trying to empower other men and trying to empower the community and talking about something besides sex and booty and okay, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna have shows like that. But let's talk about building. Let's talk about something productive. I know you've been trying to educate me on the Bitcoin. You have my brain like what?
When you have about 30 minutes,
yeah,
and we're going to set up your, and everybody here, if you click show more at the bottom of the description, it'll show my cryptocurrency accounts for people who are into that. I hope you appreciate it. But yeah, you need to have that available to you because it gives you a different avenue through which, and this is a conversation that's going to be sketchy for some people, but you have to have a viable place to store your money outside of traditional banking. In 2020, what we've learned is that no governments can be trusted. You know, I always tell people cryptocurrency is the future.
And the reason why I promote you is because you're talking about something. And you notice those that follow my community tab, I don't push many channels. And I do this strategically because you're talking about something. And I want people to see that I tell all the beautiful women to come where the men are leading. I do this for a reason. When y'all talking about something, we'll follow. And when y'all talking about something, you building something, you're being productive, the women will follow. That's why I promote certain channels over others, because y'all ain't talking about nothing. When I put you on my community tab, that means I uphold you with the highest esteem. I think what you say matters. I think it needs to be heard. I think more women need to listen to you because you have leadership qualities. I'm looking for Black men who can lead leadership qualities that turns me on. I'm looking for men like my men to get on the mic and lead and talk about the things that affect Black men and put them into positions to earn respect.
Wow. Thank you so much for all those comments. The last thing I'll say is first, Nikkei Speaks. We have to chat. I didn't know that you were into Bitcoin, and for people who want a little bit more of a cursory introduction, I have a Bitcoin tab on my playlist, Confessions of a Bitcoin Hustler, Bitcoin and the Weed Man from a business perspective, because I have a friend in another country opened up a marijuana business based in cryptocurrency, has Bitcoin been beaten, Bitcoin and money. This is my friend Jeremy D. Stephen, who is a professional economist and lecturer who stops by and we talk about money. Bitcoin is something that everyone needs to educate themselves on. And having that, cool, Nikkei. And having said that, I hope everybody has a good evening. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Be sure to like and subscribe. And everyone feel free to contact me on any social media. When you share this, hashtag me, @me. Love to interact with everybody. Good night.